Welcome to Think Smart with TMFG. I'm Mike Connon. I'm here with Carlo Cansino, Senior Financial Advisor with the McClelland Financial Group of Asante Capital Management. Carlo, you meet with a lot of people in retirement and people going into retirement. What are some things that you find biggest concerns that people have, the pre-retirees say?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we work with, I'd say, the lion's share of our clients are Canadians that are entering into retirement. And typically the concerns that they have are pretty consistent across the board.
Yeah, they think they're unique, but
No.
It's funny when you see one after the other.
Yeah.
They tend to have the same overall concerns.
For sure. And not all of them are financially related.
Yeah.
A lot of them have to do with their lifestyle and their livelihood and what that's going to look like. But yeah, there's typically 5 that we see. And, you know, these are the clients that are coming in that are 5 to 10 years away from retirement. And when we're building out that plan, these are the things that are on their mind.
You know what's funny? Their concerns are very different than our concerns, right? You get all their concerns, and the problems that we see with retirees have nothing to do with the concerns they have going into retirement later on. But let's talk about their concerns, and let's address, what's the first one?
Sure. I often hear clients looking at their portfolio and thinking, that's what I have, but what happens if I outlive that money? What do I do at that point?
Yeah, it's funny. I've told this to people before. In doing this for, what have we been doing? I'm 30 some odd years. You've been
over 20.
Well over 20 years. Well over 20.
Yeah, well, take it easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, you know, how many clients had to outlive their money?
Oh, man, I can't even count on one hand. Clients,
I think I had one. And they didn't outlive it by much.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, everyone's worried about outliving their money. Most people, unfortunately, health becomes a problem along the way.
Right.
And that's the main concern.
Mm-hmm.
Outliving your money would be a great thing, but most people don't do it. I mean, we've had thousands of clients, and yeah, we, as you said, within a handful have ever outlived their money. So.
Yeah, no, and what can cause that? Obviously, longevity. We do our plans out to age 95, and I think Stats Canada would suggest that not many Canadians are going to reach age 95. You're likely looking at mid to late 80s.
Yeah, and the one I had that outlived my money is now 104 years
Oh,
old.
there you
So
go. Okay.
It was a bit beyond the expectations, but it happens.
Yeah, so longevity can be, you know, depending on what your family history is and what that looks like. Sure, if everybody in your family has lived into their mid to late 90s, yeah, that could be a bit of concern.
And it's funny, each time where I've had a situation in these where people have this extended period of life, the family is doing very well, and the family takes care of them without any problems. There's never been any issue at all.
Right. Any other concerns you think about outliving their money? What could cause that?
You know, people are always worried about markets.
Yeah.
So that's a big concern, what happens. And we've been through a lot of, you know, big corrections. So we've seen the effect of this. We went through 2007, 2008, which was a tremendous market correction. Mm-hmm. In 2001, we had a tremendous market correction. Mm-hmm. These are severe hits on the economy. And I mean, Trump is scary to a lot of people, but 9/11 wasn't only scary, it was a situation that actually happened. We watched that go on, and we watched people's money in the markets and how everything evolved from that. So we've seen massive hits to let's say the financial markets over people retiring, and we've seen what effect it has. And still, everyone has somehow managed to make their retirement.
For sure. And you know what? That's what we do at our office. Our messaging is pretty consistent. When you do see a market correction, and we talk to our clients about that all the time, it should be expected. It's what you do at that time that will determine whether or not your portfolio will be successful. So yeah, to your point, all of those years, the big market corrections, 2015, 2018, 2020, if you just remained consistent with your portfolio, you came out on top.
The other thing is people are becoming too conservative too early.
Absolutely.
You know, it's okay to be conservative. When you're 85, 90 years old, your inflation isn't a big factor. Everyone forgets how big of a factor inflation is. When you start getting if you're going to retire at 55, you say, I want to make sure my money is protected, you're doomed.
Yeah, exactly. You need that money. Just to talk about inflation, your money needs to be growing, at least keeping up with the inflation rate. And so that's something that, you know, you need to be thinking about. Investments can't be too conservative.
Yep.
What other concerns?
A lot of people are concerned how the cash flow is going to work.
Yep.
Where am I going to get my money from?
Yep.
You know, this ball of retirement money is just this big ball of that they've created over their lifetime.
Exactly.
And no one's ever thought of how am I going to get money? Does it come out of RIFs? Does it come out of my open account? What do I use my TFSAs for?
Right.
There's all these different investment vehicles we've created over this time. And now it's time to start unwinding those
Right.
and figure the proper way to unwind those and deal with the taxes.
Yep.
There's a lot of advantages in retirement from a tax point of view. People don't realize. We know it.
Yes.
And once you're a senior, you can income split.
Yep.
It's amazing how much of a tax advantage this is. And a lot of our retirees pay a lot less tax than you'd realize.
Right. Minimize your tax bill. More money stays in your pocket and can provide an income source even longer. So we preach it all the time. We are financial planners. Ensure that we're walking through that cash flow projection with clients on a regular basis, just to understand what all the different income sources are, where they're coming from, and are they being done in the most tax efficient manner.
Let's go to the next step.
Sure.
Once we get over the financial, healthcare. This is the other big one.
Yes.
You know, a lot of times what I find is because we watch U.S. TV and most of our stations come to the U.S., people become over concerned with healthcare costs because most of the media you see is coming from the U.S.
Right.
And U.S. has a terrible healthcare system. I mean, people complain about Canada. Canada is absolutely wonderful for healthcare. The costs, taking care of it. U.S. is horrific. And what you see is a lot of advertisements are out there to scare the people because in the U.S. you can be in a lot of trouble from a financial point of view for healthcare. Let's talk about Canada. How do things work? Let's talk about medications to start with.
Sure. I mean, if you are in a position where you are on medication, prescription drugs, they can be fairly expensive. But in Canada, depending on the province that you live in, there is a provincial drug plan which helps to cover some of the costs of prescriptions.
Yeah,
prescriptions.
I'll help you out there.
Yeah, thank you.
If you're over 65,
Yeah.
they have and you do pay something. You pay, I think, a dispenser fee or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the people usually end up capping out at paying like $100 a year in total for their medications. And there is, I'm not going to say it's perfect because there are some medications that won't be
covered.
That won't be
They're more
covered.
generic.
Yeah, so it's not the perfect plan, but it's not a bad plan. I'll put it that way.
What about other costs like paramedical practitioners, or you want to remain healthy in your retirement, so you're seeing a chiropractor, you're seeing some level of physiotherapy. There's costs involved for that.
Costs, you're going to have to pay for that.
Yeah.
That stuff, I mean, you can buy insurance to help out with that, but as you know, insurance companies are not out there to lose money.
Right.
So generally you're going to be paying as much as you're going to be paying for the areas.
So it's important to determine the cost benefit.
Dental is like that too. Dental can
Absolutely.
get more expensive as you get older because you're no longer filling cavities, you're replacing teeth. So it can be more of an expensive situation too.
Yeah, absolutely. What else?
I guess the next one goes into, we talked about health insurance, retirement facilities. We see a lot of people, so we have a good idea. If you go to an independent living place when you don't need much care, you're probably going to be bottom line $6,000 to $7,000 a month, and in that range.
Yeah, we've seen that being the bottom end in a lot of the different private facilities that you can be living in, but they can be much higher than that.
And you can go $9,000, $10,000 for just a reason. We're not going through the roof, so that's expensive. People always have the idea. A lot of people want to do in-home care. They don't have a clue how expensive that is.
Exactly.
I mean, in-here home care that I've seen people get, it's usually running about $120,000 to $150,000 a year.
Right.
It's very expensive to do. That's my experience. So yeah, it can be a very expensive cost.
Yeah, and again, depending on the necessity, if your health was to deteriorate and you needed far more support, then you could be getting into some form of long-term care facility where, with government subsidies, brings that cost down.
That's actually not that expensive.
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
in long-term care, it's not that expensive. But long-term care, the idea long-term is sort of a wrong term because they don't intend to be there very long-term.
Exactly.
Usually long-term care is, people don't usually make it over a year within long-term care. So it's very difficult to get in. You're on a long waiting list. And unless your predicament is very severe, it's very difficult to get into them.
Yeah, fair enough. What's another major concern that you've heard in your meetings from, pre-retirees or people just heading into retirement?
It's rising costs.
Yeah.
It's everything's getting more expensive. The price of meat is up. The price of vegetables is up. Everything, gas is, everything they go across the board is getting more expensive. Don't know how they're going to make ends meet.
Right. No, Bank of Canada tends to want to maintain the inflation rate or the cost of increase to 2 to 3%. But we know that just recently, inflation was at a very high rate following COVID. It peaked in 2022 at 8%.
Yeah.
So unless your money that is providing an income source is at least keeping up with inflation, you're losing purchasing power over time.
I used to always try to go and eat lunch for $5. I've accepted you can no longer eat lunch for $5.
Exactly.
I think, and it didn't go from 5. It's like moved up to 10 now. I don't think you can eat lunch for under $10 anymore.
Exactly. But if you're trying to spend $5 for lunch now, you're going to come away hungry.
Yeah, I eat a lot of slices of pizza nowadays.
Exactly. Exactly. Mike, another concern that I hear all the time, and it's for retirees who have been well into their retirement situation, and that's their housing.
Yep.
They've been living in their principal residence for a long time, and kids have come and gone, and now they've got this big property that may not be manageable, or they may no longer need.
It's the maintenance is tough. I like mowing my lawn now.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to like mowing it when I'm 80 years old.
For sure. Well, I've seen the size of your property.
I might like driving the tractor. You never know.
Exactly.
If the only thing I'm allowed to drive, I don't need a license, right?
Yeah. No, exactly. You just have to watch where you're going. You do have that dog.
Yeah. He's learned to keep out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. But what are some of the concerns that you hear about what to do in housing?
The main thing is, people were looking at the biggest barrier I find, believe it or not, is actually figuring out the overwhelming task of starting to clean out your house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big knot in the whole thing. Moving and everything is okay, but people have many times been in these houses for 30 years. Everything they know is they can't imagine the idea of having to downsize to the point on the next place they're going to live into. So that's a big stumbling block for them.
Yeah, for sure. And you get the people who don't want to leave their home. And in a lot of cases, unfortunately, many Canadians look at the value of their home as a part of their retirement income source. So it could be a necessity to either downsize or rent in order to get some equity out of their home.
Yeah.
So these are very tough decisions, especially if you love where you live and love home ownership.
There's services out there. We just had a client who unfortunately had to help out a relative who had to go to home. And there's great services that actually take care of cleaning out your house. They went and they took care of doing the full clean of the house. They actually moved him into senior residence. They took all the things out of his house that would match the things that would make him feel comfortable to make it feel like he was staying in the same home. They arranged to sell all the stuff that was sellable. They arranged to give all the stuff away to charity that they could do, and arranged to have everything cleaned up and done. So there's actually organizations that do this for you. So it's a pretty helpful thing.
No, I think you have to lean on that sort of a service because it's such an emotional exercise to walk through.
Yeah.
You need somebody there who's at arm's length or not emotionally attached to many of the items that you may or may not want to part with.
Yeah, it's hard to decide what to throw away. I think it's always best to tag the things you need to keep, right?
Right. And one of the last things in terms of what pre-retirees are concerned about is, what is available from the government? What can I expect to receive? And I think, there's the main income sources, Canada Pension Plan that you contribute into, old age security that as a Canadian and have lived in Canada are eligible for, but you'd be surprised at how many are uncertain about what they will receive and when and what that looks like.
Yeah. In Canada, the old age security and CPP, you can receive them anywhere. CPP can start at age 60, and by the time you're 70, you should always be taking all of it.
Yes.
You get a bonus every, let's say 65 is your normal age.
Yep.
If you take it earlier, you get a reduction. What's it,
0.6% per month
Yep.
in advance of your 65th birthday.
Yep.
So if you take it as early as possible, age 60, that's essentially 7.2% per year or 36% reduction.
Yep.
So if you take it at age 60, whatever you were eligible for, it's a reduction of 36%.
And CPP, if you take it later, it's actually more of a bonus. It's 0.7% per month.
The government wants to incent you to delay taking it. And so they pay that premium. And it's actually, like you said, it's 0.7% per month.
8.4% a year.
Yes.
I'm good with numbers.
Oh, yeah. Somebody showing off their arithmetic.
Yeah. So it's quite the increase you get along the way. So.
Yeah, in a lot of cases, it may or not make sense to take early or defer, depending on what your situation is. And
Old age security is there too. Old age security you can't take early. It starts at 65. But if you want to delay that, you get, again, a 0.6% bonus for every month you want to delay that. Or again, 7.2% a year.
Yeah, exactly.
I learned my 12 times table very well. It's very good. And along the way, if your family has long longevity into it, sometimes it makes sense to defer that. People get confused about this. Canada Pension Plan cannot be clawed back.
Correct.
So it is not income related. It's taxed according to your tax bracket, but it's not income related. Old age security, because Canada Pension is something you put into.
Yes.
So it's just getting your money back. Old age security is government benefit. They had the ability to claw that back. So somewhere around $93,000, $94,000
Correct.
nowadays. If your income is over that, they start to claw back 15% of your owed aid security for every dollar over that amount. So that's something to keep an eye on and be aware of.
Yeah, and that's where the splitting of income between spouses can help reduce what that clawback or that reduction in your old age security could be.
And there's other benefits for lower income seniors. There is guaranteed income supplements out there.
Yes.
And also there is the Canadian Dental Plan, which is if you
Relatively new, yeah.
if you make under $90,000 as a family. I don't know why they did it as a family. It never makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But they do as a family income. If you make under $90,000 a family, you're eligible for the Canadian Dental Plan.
So it makes it even more important to manage the household tax bill, manage the household income, and be even more important. Oh, sorry, it's even more important to take tax efficient income.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that gives the idea of some of the things that go on while you're going into retirement.
Yes.
If anyone does have any questions about that, feel free to ask Carlo, myself, or John, or Tyler, or Ingrid, or Gabe, or any of your advisors in here, and we'd love to help you out with any of those questions. Have a great day.